This is the second quarter beginner tack tournament of 2022. This is the playoffs match between Jakkamaster and Shadow's Edge. These players both are about even in rating at 1420 and 1428. 1428 going to Jakkamaster. He has played 124 games. Shadow's Edge at 63 games. They've both been playing for about a month and a half on these accounts on playtech.com, though Jakkamaster did say he's been playing for several years off and on, mostly off. But let's jump right in to game one here. All right, we're seeing opposite corners here. A little interesting. We typically see adjacent corners in 6x6 matches, but they might be trying something new here. I do like the opposite corner opening. It does change things up, makes it a little bit more awkward for White trying to figure out how to adapt to that if he's never played opposite corners before. Looks like White goes straight in for that center control spot, and Black just going for that edge crawl. Just going, trying to take that momentum right away. White cuts that momentum away, takes it back by playing over here at a4. Now, the reason he takes it back is because now White has two pieces in a row here for this horizontal road, but Black has two in a horizontal road, but White has already cut that off, so he needs to go around. So White can make a road quicker here, and that's really what we mean by momentum. However, playing over here at c4 instead of at b4 gives Black the opportunity to drop a capstone here at b4. Doesn't go for that, though. Instead makes the capture. Now White can drop the capstone potentially here at b4, which would be a nice spot. It would follow a lot of the guidelines that we talk about in the capstones video of TAC University. But instead decides to drop it over here at a3 on the edge of the board. A risky move here, playing it off to the edge. But I think with the stack here, it makes a little bit of sense. However, it does give Black the opportunity to drop that capstone there. Now White just playing off, using this as an anchor point on the edge that cannot be stopped. Instead, playing over here to the side, off at b3, going for this horizontal threat now. Black has a few decisions to make. Playing here at c3 makes a lot of sense to me. Not only does it stop White from just keep on playing and playing and playing, going for this horizontal threat, but it also helps work for his own threats, whether it be the vertical or the horizontal directions. Now, Black could bring this capstone down, could decide to drop a wall here at d3 or at d4, could decide to drop a flat and then drop a wall later on. Really doesn't want to give White too much here, but playing very straightforward, just going for these roads. Both players playing fairly quickly. This is on a 15-minute timer with a 10-second increment. That means after every turn, the player gets 10 seconds added to their clock. So we see Shadow's Edge down here at about 14 minutes on the clock, whereas Jakkamaster still above that 15-minute mark. So playing quicker than 10 seconds on average per turn. All right, looks like Black playing over at b1, not quite understanding what the purpose of that play was, but I'm sure we'll find out. White now playing over here at d3. This is continuing that horizontal threat, but not only that, it's also going for the vertical as well. Black taking his time here to respond to this. This does make sense, because if Black decides to just keep playing for a horizontal down below and then comes down here to interrupt, White can play at d1 and go for this vertical threat here. Black taking his time. Interesting. Really, really spending his time on this move, and I'm wondering why. It seems pretty straightforward. He's got to do something about this area here, but maybe he's thinking, okay, if we want to drop a wall here at C2 or at C4, do I want to just keep playing flats and count on the capstone to come down first? I guess he's got a couple options here, but white will be making a road threat on the next turn if black does not make a capture here. And I say that because even a placement here at E3 or at E4 would result in white still being able to just place for a threat. And instead plays up at B5, and I'm not understanding that move either. That one doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But maybe he's got some plan that I am not seeing. Black now definitely going to be dropping this capstone down onto B3 to cut off this road. This is a beginner tournament, though, so some of the moves that I'm predicting won't be played, as we've seen so far. Not going to follow the standard strategies that we see so often, because these players don't know them, frankly. They haven't been playing long enough to have picked all that up. And that's why this is such a great tournament. It's a great opportunity for these players to learn and get better and really improve their attack game. So we see black dropped a wall here at F4 to stop that road, and then white immediately plays up above, continuing that threat. Playing here at F5 or at E6 would be a road. But now we've got black needs to make a capture here if he wants to stop that road, and he does. He becomes over with that wall onto E4. White can continue the threat here by placing either at D5 or at E3. Either one of those placements would work for continuing that threat. I feel like D5 is a little bit better, because if he does E3, then black can bring this wall down, and then the wall can come down to stop, and then be thrown over onto C3 to capture that that stack, and then be able to liberate the captive. So that is potentially concerning. Instead decides to bring that capstone down. Surprised he didn't do that earlier. But he does bring the capstone down. White's going to bring that capstone up to capture onto that stack. Now black, if black plays it B4, it's just going to be a simple recapture here. I think what black needs to do is probably shift gears and go for the horizontal below, and count on the wall and the capstone to be able to cut off anything that white starts doing in the horizontal direction over here. It really needs to just focus on what he's doing in this horizontal direction below. But again, this is a beginner's tournament, and they typically do not go for that sort of thing. They tend to focus on the one threat instead of shifting gears and reassessing and moving on to a different threat. But we shall see. All right, black does look to be going for that horizontal line, playing at F1 here. Instead of playing over at C1, decides to play over at F1. And I find that interesting, because now white can shift gears, play maybe at C1 to go for the vertical, but instead comes over with the capstone, not playing a flat like he could have done. Could have just played a flat here. I guess he didn't want black's capstone to have an ability to come up into there. White now able to make a threat by placing here at C4. Does do that. Black can stop that by playing over here at f3 or by throwing this wall over here to the left onto c4. I think that he's going to eventually need to throw that wall over onto c4. Drops the wall. Now white will likely play at d5 to continue the threat. This is where white can just bring this whole stack over left onto d4 and stop the threat momentarily. The white will be able to renew it just by placing here at f4 afterwards, or by placing at e4. Either of those would do it. e4 would be better. But no, he misses it, and white is able to make a road here by placing up at e6. This is a thing that happens in beginner tournaments where you miss these road threats that seem fairly simple, but again, beginner tournament, and also everyone can miss a simple road threat. We did see that happen quite a few times in the intermediate tournament, and also in the Chandrian Invitational with some of the top players missing threats. I think there were two particular, and this was on a 7x7, a much larger board, so it takes longer to make a road, and they missed threats on turn 17. There were 2 games where they missed a very simple road threat on turn 17. So not limited to just beginner tournaments for sure. So that is it for game 1. Congratulations to Jakkamaster for winning game 1 with a road as white. We will be moving on to game 2, this time with Jakkamaster in black and shadowsedge in white. All right, here we go. This is game 2 between Jakkamaster and shadowsedge. Shadowsedge in white, Jakkamaster in black. And again, the winner of this match will go on to face Vivel in the semifinals. If Jakkamaster wins this game, he will move on to face Vivel in the semifinals. If shadowsedge wins this game, they will be required to play Blitz playoff matches, which is for tiebreaker. So Blitz is a 3-minute game with a 5-second increment, played on a 6x6, same rules, where they just play pairs of games until one person wins both games in a pair. All right, so here we go with Jakkamaster playing up at f6, and then, shadowsedge at f6, Jakkamaster down at a1, and then they've gone opposite corners yet again. This time, Jakkamaster forcing that opposite corner opening, and we'll see how things go if white's going to come over here and take c3, going for that center control like we saw with the previous game, or if there's going to go for something else. Nope, going to go for that c3 center control spot, and then mirroring him, playing off to the side is Jakkamaster, just playing into that center, really trying to figure out where white is going to go here. Playing at d4 is nice because it doesn't matter if white starts moving towards the vertical or the horizontal. You've got a flat in play to cut them off no matter which direction they go. So I think that's a solid opening for opposite corners. I haven't played too many opposite corners, so it's hard to say if there's a better one. But that is a great counter to that opposite corner opening here. Dropping this capstone allows white to go for this horizontal line without this initial flat cutting him off. So instead, he's got this capstone here protecting this line, saving that momentum. And he's basically guaranteed to save momentum for quite a few turns here because of that capstone placement. It's very early. A turn 3 capstone is quite early. And we do want to have an early capstone in your match so you can really use that to its fullest potential. And we're seeing a mirrored play here, black dropping that capstone over at c4. That's probably the right move for black also. White continuing, going for this horizontal threat, just trying to keep that momentum, keep these threats coming, and probably going to play down at c2 on the next turn to be able to continue that. No, instead makes a capture, sort of isolating this capstone, which I find fascinating. The capstone moves down by itself, ready to come over and capture onto b3. I think this is where we might see white shift gears, going for the horizontal, or going for the vertical here. It would be interesting if white just moved this whole stack over. And he does. He moves the whole stack down onto b2, which is surprising. These are moves that you don't typically see because moving a piece without capturing is a negative flat count differential move. You're basically you're doing 0, so your opponent can place a piece on the next one and get one on you. So this is a very interesting play, and not one that you'll see very often at all. White's really trying to isolate that capstone, keep it away from the rest of play. But I don't think that's going to be working out for him right now, because now, if white plays maybe at b1, for example, black can play at c1 and have momentum for this vertical threat. Now, if white decides to play somewhere else, maybe down at c1, then black can capture onto b2 and take that stack without worrying about it being recaptured. So this is actually looking not too bad for black. Black has set up in a pretty good spot here. Playing down at c1, he is going for that vertical line here. White sure can cut it off by making a capture onto one of these flats. But if he does capture over onto c1, black's going to capture over onto c2 and get that nice stack. But if he captures over with b2 onto c2, then black's going to be able to capture down onto that stack with that capstone. So either way, whatever way white chooses to stop this vertical threat with a capture here, it's going to end up good for black. All right, so we see now black playing off at d1. I find that surprising. Instead of playing over at b3, continuing the vertical threat, he's playing over at d1. And I'm not really sure what the point of that is. Maybe to protect against captures left and right onto c1? Huh. Not quite sure there. All right, now he's playing over at a2. I guess he's going for a horizontal line at the bottom. Or maybe he was just trying to secure a capture onto b2. I think now we're going to see a b3 placement from black. Or a wall at b3 even. Either of those would be fine. Or a wall at a1 even. All of those would be totally fine. All right, e1 instead. White comes down with the capstone. Black probably needs to come down with his own capstone onto c2 at this point in order to stop white from getting that really strong position. No, he's not going to do it. White probably wants to play at e2 before he comes over. No, he brings over the whole stack, giving him, okay, that's a smart play. This gives him a hard capstone so he can come right and smash any wall that black decides to place if a wall gets placed here. This is looking a whole lot better for white right now. Black placing over at e2. Smart play, because white needed to place at e2 in order to continue a threat in that direction. That makes sense. White probably playing maybe at f2 here on the next turn. Or maybe not, maybe something else. It's tough to say. No, plays over at f3. Now that doesn't do much for him. I think F2 would have given him a quicker route to a road. But black now has to make some decisions. Goes for a capture, which is very surprising. Not what I would have expected here. Now are we going to see an E2 from white? Yes, we are. That's something that black basically made it possible for white to take that E2 spot and go for these horizontal threats without working for it. Capturing up with E2 was a bit of a blunder there. Black now capturing up. Now, in the captures video of Tack University, we discuss a lot about what's a good capture, what's a bad capture, when to avoid capturing. A lot of these flat-on-flat captures are ones that you would want to avoid. Flat-on-flat captures give you liabilities, basically, and make it easier for your opponent to make some captures later on and get these big stacks that they can then change the game with big sweeping moves and really cause you a lot of trouble later on. So typically, when you're making these captures, you want to avoid flat-on-flat captures as often as possible and stick to captures with roads, with walls or with capstones. So we see white now dropping a wall here. This is in a good position because it's able to come left onto D1 or up onto E2. And if he comes up onto E2, he is able to recover that captive here, liberate that captive. Black played up above, trying to go for that vertical threat, which doesn't make too much sense to me because white does have this wall here in reserve, able to come over onto D4 at any point and really cut that road off. But now we've got white probably going to bring this wall stack to the left onto D2, or just place a flat here on D2. Placing a flat is better. I don't know why he would have played a wall there. That doesn't seem to make any sense to me. Placing a flat would have done perfectly fine and would have been a great play. Placing the wall there seems counterproductive to me. But let's see if he does 2E2 plus. No, he brings the whole stack up. Not sure why he brought the whole stack up. That doesn't make a lot of sense to me either. I think bringing just, if he had brought up, let's go back. If he had brought up just the two pieces up here, he could have then moved that over and made a threat because he can smash with a hard capstone. But no, he brings up that whole stack and then black responds with A3. Now black is now making a horizontal tack threat that could easily be missed by white here. And white does miss it. Black is able to complete the road here at E6 for the win. And so that is a road, that is one that is a little sneaky and very, very easy to miss because black had been focused so hard on this vertical threat. But black sneaks out that sneaky win there, sneaky road against shadowsedge, and Jakkamaster wins game 2. And that means he wins this match and goes on to the semifinals to play against Vivo. And so we'll be seeing some semifinals matches. Some congratulations to Jakkamaster for moving on. Well played to both players. These were some fun games to watch. And thanks everybody for watching. Be sure to check out the description below for all things TAC, especially the TAC Discord server, which is the community hub and where you can find all sorts of resources like strategy guides and, well, people to play with right here on playtac.com or in the Discord server itself, playing asynchronously or correspondence games where you can just play one move a day if you want to. A lot of fun there. And thanks everybody for watching again, and until next time, have a great day and happy tacking.